Welcome, everyone. My name is Shelley Hegan. I'm the president and CEO at Upper Hudson Planned Parenthood. I'm sure I'm not the first to tell you this is an incredibly devastating day. We have taken away a right that the court had once given us for one of the first times in history, and we can only be preparing ourselves now for what rights come next. People here in New York are able to access safe and legal abortion, which is wonderful. But every young person that lives in New York today is less free than they were when they woke up this morning. They cannot make the decision to go to college wherever they want. They cannot take a job wherever they want and expect that they can make decisions for their futures and their families like I did and like many of you did. So I am overwhelmed with gratitude that we have such supportive legislators, and I really am excited to welcome Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
Thank you, Shelley.
Sorry. First, I want to introduce you to an amazing leader in our community, the president of the YWCA of the Capital Region, Starlita Smith.
Thank you. I wish I can say that today was a good afternoon, because this is not a good afternoon. This is a historic and shockingly unthinkable afternoon in a country that is becoming more oppressive and more unrecognizable every single day. My name is Starlita Smith, and I'm the proud executive director of YWCA of the Greater Capital Region, where our mission is to eliminate racism and empower women by promoting peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. We have been in Troy since 1883, and I want to clarify something about our mission. While we are known as a women's organization, we stand in full support of our transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming community. YWCA of the Greater Capital Region is here for any person with a uterus, any person who can or wants to have a baby, and any person who wants or needs an abortion. Abortions must be legal, safe, and accessible to any person and for any reason. The ruling today is shocking to me and to all of us, but we cannot stand idly while we watch the Supreme Court turn back nearly 5 decades. Yes. While they rule in favor of oppression, in favor of what decisions that will be disproportionately impacting the Black and brown communities and poor communities. Yes. While it's become increasingly obvious that guns in America have more rights than people who bear children. Yes. The audacity of the Supreme Court to not trust women to make the already hard decision for what is best for themselves, their futures, their families, and their bodies. Amen. What future is readily a reality in America that we're marching towards? Who are we fighting to protect? What is freedom, and who has it? Dr. Martin Luther King said, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice." Today, let me tell you, sadly, this decision takes us in the wrong direction. We have lost our way. It's time for us to remain diligent, to fight, and to do everything in our power to bend our country toward the light, toward the freedom, the justice, and dignity for all. Thank you. I now have the honor to open up for Kirsten Gillibrand. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your story. Thank you. This Supreme Court has come down with a radical decision. This decision is extreme, it's extremist, it is out of step with the American public, and is turning the clock back for 50 years. It is denying women basic constitutional rights, basic human rights, basic civil rights, basic human dignity. Previous courts have said that women deserve the freedom to make reproductive decisions out of a fundamental right to privacy that's created not by just one amendment to our Constitution, but 5. They said that because the First Amendment works with the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Sixth Amendment, and the 14th Amendment, they said all of these rights together create a right to privacy that is unique to humankind, that they want to make these fundamental personal decisions about when they're having children, under what circumstances they're having children, with whom they're having children. Those decisions are precedent. Precedent, according to Justice Kavanaugh, deserves due deference. No, now it does not. They have taken away the weight of this precedence, taken away the notion of stare decisis, taken away the precedent of Casey, and said, we disagree. Under this Supreme Court, they could unwind any Supreme Court precedent that they felt they wanted to do. Under the line of cases that are right to privacy, then we're not just talking about reproductive freedom, we're talking about the right for LGBTQ equality, the right for gay marriage, the right to decide what kind of contraception your body needs, the right to make any personal medical decision. This reasoning is so far-reaching and so out of step with the norm that it's unconscionable. Now everyone's going to be asking, what do we do? What do we do? What can we do?
Yeah, what can we do?
So we can raise our voices, we
Yes.
can speak up, we can speak out, and we can fight back by making sure that we elect people who believe women deserve equality. Women in this country. Women in this country deserve equal access to health care. We deserve equality. We deserve the basic fundamental right to bodily autonomy. Under what other law does it tell a human they must do something that may result in their own death, must do something against their values, against their goals, against their human nature? This decision, this Mississippi law that they have said is acceptable, makes no exceptions for rape, no exceptions for incest. So you're telling a young child they have to carry to term a child created by their father. You're telling a woman she has to take to term a child created by her rapist. It is unconscionable. It is unfair. And it is an outrage. So we do have to fight back. And we have to elect people who share our values. This issue is on the ballot in November. I hope in many people's mind it is the issue on the ballot. Because if women do not have equality in this country, if women are not full citizens, if women don't have the right, the human rights and human dignity to decide what's going to happen to their bodies and their futures, we have lost our rights to citizenship. So please, everyone here, you have to fight. You have to fight like your life depends upon it. Because for so many women and our LGBTQ friends, it does. We know in America today that maternal mortality is higher than in any other industrialized country. If you are a black woman in America, you are 4 times more likely to die in childbirth or within a year of giving birth because of the systemic racism in our healthcare system. So you are telling women their lives don't matter? You're telling poor women and black women and women of color their lives don't matter? You're telling them that they are less than. So that is the weight of this decision. It is the weight of the responsibility that every voter in America must carry. So please ask your friends, ask your loved ones, ask anyone you know, how do you feel about this? Do you believe women deserve equal rights? Do you believe our lives are valuable? Do you believe we are full citizens? And if they do, let them only support candidates that support reproductive freedom.
Hi, everyone. I'm State Senator Michelle Hinchy, and first, Senator Gillibrand, I want to thank you for your incredible words right now and for calling us all together today. I know many of us needed some space to come. I drove here from Woodstock. I have the privilege of representing 5 counties, including here in the Capital Region, but I drove here today from Woodstock, and in all honesty, I'll do it again right now, I cried in the car on the way here. And yet, I know that I'm one of the privileged people. And I still feel this. I'm one of the privileged ones because I'm a white woman living in New York, working in the government. This impacts, as we have heard, millions of women, and I think we all together, women and people, I will say, women and people with reproductive rights. This impacts millions of people who will not have the ability to make a choice, who have now effectively lost control over their futures. This is an affront to the people and the women who fought 50 years ago for this right. This is a slap in the face to the people and the women who fought 50 years ago, gave everything they had to make sure we had this right enshrined in our Constitution. This is an assault on women my age. I'm 34. For people who are thinking about starting a family, deciding what they want their family and their futures to look like. It is a personal assault, and this is a complete disregard for the future of our children, for what the world that we are setting them up to grow up in, especially our Black, brown, transgender, and children living in economic difficulties. This is an absolute affront and a travesty, and I struggled a lot with the words to use today because none of them feel big enough. None of them feel, we can say affront, we can say assault, we can say all these things. None of them feel big enough for what this really means, for what the impact this will have and is going to have in just 30 days. 30 days, what is it, 20 states are now going, 22 states, thank you, are going to ban abortion in just 30 days. Think if you're a person who had an appointment scheduled, or you were planning to go into a doctor, and you find out tomorrow that you're in need of an abortion. You are out of luck in 22 states and growing in the United States of America. This is absolutely unfathomable. And so here in New York, we have a responsibility, a deep moral and unwavering responsibility to make sure not only that every single person living in New York continues to have the right to an abortion, but also that anyone who comes here seeking an abortion has access, and that we are protecting our medical providers. And that is the package that the governor thankfully and wonderfully signed just last week. But it feels really difficult to not be able to help the people who do not have the funds to get here to New York. There is still so much we need to do, including pushing for an equal rights amendment in our state constitution, which is something that we are hoping we can do in the short term. But there is so much still left on the table, because while we are here in New York fighting, we have to lend our energy, our voices, to making sure, as was said, we elect pro-choice, strong, unwavering candidates up and down the ballot. Up and down the ballot. These are our school boards, our town boards, our state legislatures, our county legislatures, and our federal government. Because not only is that the bench of people that we will have running for more seats, but that sends a signal, again, to every community across our state and across our country that this will not and this cannot stand. So I thank you all for being here today. I thank you all for coming together to lend your energy. We need to build on this, get involved in a race. We need to build on this and make sure that not only here in New York, but across the country, we push back and we fight back. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Actually, not good afternoon. Senator Gillibrand, thank you so much for bringing us together to give us an opportunity to raise our voices in outrage over this decision. We saw it coming. They sent us a message a couple of months ago that said, hey, this is what we're going to do. So we knew it was coming, but still, the disappointment, the outrage, the fear is palpable. It is across our communities. I have a niece that attends college in Louisiana, one of the states that is set to ban abortion altogether. I'm glad she's from New York, but I worry. I worry about her. I worry about every college student that is attending college in one of those 22 states. I worry about every young woman in any of those states across our country. In addition to the privilege points that Senator Hinchey highlighted, I would say that I'm privileged to be 60 years old. And that in the years in which I was building my career, in the years in which I was having to decide whether or not I would take that next promotion, travel on that next business trip, or whether it was time for me to start a family, I had the right to make my own choices for what was right for me. And I am saddened beyond belief that this next generation of women are not going to have that chance. Nope. And I think it is my responsibility, it is our responsibility to raise our voices, to elect pro-choice candidates who are going to support reproductive rights across this country so that we can make sure that these rights will be enshrined in law and we won't be subject to the whims of justices ever again. And that's not going to happen just because we write letters. It's not going to happen just because we wave signs. It's going to happen because we elect people who want to protect our rights as women. It's going to happen because we're going to elect people who say women are 51% of the population. We are 56% of the voting population. And we want to be equal participants in this state and in this country's and in the globe's economy. We are smart, we are capable, and we are the junk. And we are going to demand our rights. And it's going to start today, and it's going to continue through November, and it's going to continue on until we get these rights secured in law once and for all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Oshlich. I'm a Schenectady County legislator, and I'm here to talk to you from the local perspective. I implore you to become informed about your local elected officials. Not only is it training ground and a stepping stone for folks that want to take on further public service, we need leaders at every level that will protect our rights. When you go to the polls in November, remember what these leaders have said today, and remember that every election matters, your vote matters. Roll up your sleeves, folks, because we have so much work to do. Thank you. Yeah.
We got a lot of work.
We can take some on-topic questions from anybody up here.
Senator Hinchey mentioned the Equality Amendment. There's talk about being brought back to the Capitol, perhaps as soon as next week, on guns. Some of them are warning as well. What are the chances that the Equality Amendment gets done before then? What is your understanding of what the holdup is, and do you anticipate it being on any sort of agenda?
I'm hopeful. Those are conversations that are happening. I'm not privileged to say the details specifically around the legislation and some of the holdups, but I'm incredibly hopeful. Our conference, I know, is united to get this through. So we're working with both houses to make sure that we can do it, and I'm incredibly hopeful. We've never needed it more. And so we were just talking about it this morning, and it'll definitely be a topic of conversation as we go into conference before the special session.
Do you think there's any further state action that can be done aside from what was just done a few weeks ago?
those are things that we're all still looking at. I mean, there's a lot of support and desire to support telehealth for people who are in other states. There are some legalities and some challenges with the law on how we can do that. So that's what we've been working and looking into. That's where our bill stopped short. It includes telehealth for people who are, as soon as you cross the border into New York State, it covers telehealth for that, but you still have to be within New York State to get something prescribed to a pharmacy in New York. Those are some of the challenges. It's very difficult to understand how other states can put laws on us, but we cannot come back. I agree. So we are very determined to try to figure out some creative solutions around that, but there's a lot of legal parameters in which we're still working through.
Do we have any other topics? Yes, Senator Gillibrand, with this matter potentially going towards the Senate, the filibuster is going to prevent any meaningful action with the makeup of the Senate right now. Would you support abolishing the filibuster? And then also, as another item, possibly expanding the Supreme Court?
So I do support abolishing the filibuster, especially to enshrine Roe into law, to codify reproductive freedom, but also to codify voting rights, to codify common sense gun reform, to make sure that we have clean air, clean water. There's a lot of things that are part of the Democratic vision that we've not been able to accomplish. So that's why we're working so hard towards electing more Democrats in the November election. And with regard to changing the makeup of the court to depoliticize it, we don't have the votes for that either. So if we're going to do anything to depoliticize the court or to guarantee voting rights, we're going to have to elect at least 2 more Democrats to the Senate.
That are doing their job.
Yeah. Anything else? All right. Good.
Singled out for women's right to choose, and I guess the preeminent election issue coming up. What do you expect in the midterm elections because of this rule?
I think it's already affected several states with the draft ruling. We have 4 or 5 incumbents that have red or purple states. It's already changed how they're doing in those states. They are ahead in all of those states where reproductive freedom is a very important issue. I think that will continue to impact outcomes. I think it will impact outcomes of red and purple districts that we won when we flipped the majority in the House. A lot of those women were national security women. They won because women turned out to vote in those suburbs. Those are women that care deeply about reproductive freedom. They're the women who marched when President Trump got elected and marched on Washington to express their outrage that a president who would brag about assaulting women would be elected president of this country. So this is Trump's America. This is what he intended. It's why he stuffed the Supreme Court with 3 ultra-right-wing justices. It's why those 3 ultra-right-wing justices misled the Senate in their testimony, saying that they would give due deference to precedent, and stare decisis is important. They misled several senators, 2 of whom have already said, I felt that I was not told their views. And so the truth is, this is what Trump's America has wrought, and I hope every human being understands what this means. Women do. Women understand. They're the ones who bear children. They know exactly what this means. But I hope that the men who love them also understand what this means, because I don't think they could imagine for one day what it would be like to not have control over their bodily functions for 10 months. I don't think they know what it would feel like to have no decision-making over 10 months of their lives. They can't conceive of it. And if any law was ever written that impeded their ability to make decisions about their own bodies, I promise it would be upended immediately. So we have to make sure that every American understands what this means. It's a breach of trust that we have had within society that women have equal civil rights and equal justice under the law. This is a breach that took 50 years to build certainty around that they have literally ripped apart. And so this is something that people are going to have to understand deeply, and fight back in every way they can. And that means making sure we elect candidates who actually share these values.
Yeah, thank you.